Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Erica Marx, and I'm here today to do another live coaching and live art video. Very excited today because we are here with Melissa from California. I'm going to spotlight her. So, Melissa, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about you a little bit?
I'm Melissa.
Yeah.
I am an artist and creativity instigator. And let's see, what do you want to know? I have a consultancy where I bring creative play-based methodologies into corporations. And I also work with individuals, helping them get creatively unstuck through retreats and an online community called the Creative Sandbox Community. And I wrote a book on how to get creatively unstuck. Let's see if I have it back here. I do. Called The Creative Sandbox Way. I learned how to get myself creatively unstuck, and I teach other people how to do the same thing. And I did this. I met Erica, about a year and a half ago at a conference, and we've been collaborating in various ways, including this coaching and art experiment. And I'm really excited to do this again with you.
Yes, Melissa was the very first person who jumped on board to do this formally and got everything set up. And I'm gonna turn the spotlight. And so what we're doing today is I will do some coaching. Let me put the video back on me. There's a lot of tech involved to get this whole little show going. And every week we're learning something new. So what we're gonna do, so we have a volunteer to be coach, and her name is Keisha, and you'll hear her voice and you won't see her on video. And she is going to bring to us what it is that she wants to have some type of shift or transformation with, and I'll help her tease that out, get clear about what that is. And together we'll explore what her perspective is on this. And we're using Melissa's art as another access point for Keisha to access her intuition, for people who are watching, maybe to get insights for themselves. And we'll just do this for maybe 40 minutes or so together, weaving in between the questions and the art. And then we'll probably have a little bit of time to talk about the process at the end. So we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the art's going to look like. We don't know what's going to happen with her. And this is the game we're playing. So, and part of what this is a lot of times people don't understand what coaching is. And this is to help people understand a little bit more of what the process looks like and how close these insights are with people when you show up and listen to them really well and ask really curious questions. So we'll put the spotlight on Melissa's paper. And somebody's mic needs to go off. I'm going to mute. I'm going to mute. Yeah, it work. Somebody's got feedback going. I wonder. Okay, I don't know how to fix this. All right. Oh, somebody fixed it. Yay. Okay, Keisha, we are ready for you. So, what is it? What is the topic that you're bringing to us today?
So, breakthrough in love, okay, and allowing love fully to come in, and for me to fully love.
Okay, beautiful. So, a breakthrough to allow love to come in and to allow you to fully love. And so, if we have this conversation today, how will you know that you've had that breakthrough?
Meaning, like, what would that look like?
Sure. What would that look like?
On the other side?
Yeah, on the other side.
Fully sharing with my partner, being open to also receive in a way that that is uninhibited, that there's, I'm, that I am, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to work not to say what I'm not, but what I am, right? So
Great.
that's what I'm working at. That's why I'm interrupting myself. Um, that uh, that I'm fully expressed in love, and so that if there's something on my heart that I wish to share, that I'm fully sharing it and not holding back for any reason that maybe I won't be accepted or maybe wouldn't understand it or whatever.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. Excuse me. You're doing great. I forgot to acknowledge you at the beginning, just for, thank you for the courage and openness to jump in on this and share, so everyone can experience you and can maybe see something for themselves too in this conversation that you're having with us today. So I missed actually the first. So of those things you said, what I heard you say was receiving in an uninhibited way and to be fully expressed in love, meaning you're fully sharing and not holding back. And there was something you said at the beginning about sharing with a partner. Were you saying sharing with a partner that you have, or is this hypothetical? Do you remember what you said there?
yes, I currently have a partner, so yes, I would love to be that way. But I guess I just feel like it's less about, like, I would love to be that way with him, but I don't think that being that way comes from outside of me. So for me, it's not about looking for it to come in. It's more about who I am. And
Okay.
so I won't actually attract that, whether it's him or someone else. I won't attract it unless I am that. And so,
Yeah.
so yeah, so yeah.
So it's about you being that. And I'm sorry, it's just the audio is just a little hard to hear. So I just want to
Okay,
make
is
sure
that better?
maybe. Um, so I just want to understand for me, because I keep missing this piece. You have a partner now, or you don't have a
Yes.
partner? Oh, there is a partner. And
Mhm.
obviously, and you were making the point that you're not looking, the goal of this is not that your partner changes and that's the solution. It's something about how you're showing up and how you're being in the partnership, that's where you want the shift.
Yes.
That's okay. And so of the things that you said, of being fully expressed in love and not holding back, I'm wondering, what does that look like if you were to be that?
That we would have open communication and my ideas that I'm sharing would be relatable and understood. Um, that regardless of if he sees things differently, that it would still be accepted and received, and that all of what I wish to create is um, is supported, and that I can support fully, vice versa,
Okay.
and that uh, our time together is like, I don't even know how to put this in the words.
Mm-hmm.
Joy, um, fun, adventurous. Um,
All right. Yeah, so you have a
and
vision. Sorry, what was the last thing you said?
no, that's it.
So you have a vision for how you want to be together, to be joyful and adventurous and this open communication and the sharing. And excuse me, what's from your part, the part that you can do, what's in the way of that? What's in the way of you showing up with full self-expression and open communication?
Well, I think a part of the block that I've had for a long time that I'm currently working on is that there is um, that I often feel that I'm like thinking differently, and I don't operate that way, and I've also had a lot of, and so then there's this feeling of like not being understood, I guess. And so then there's a pullback, like, well,
Yeah.
all right, let me just operate over here, right? And so there's some of that, and then also I think probably even bigger than that, there has been my complete uh, attention given to my career and what it is I'm going after, and so I am a firm believer in transformation work, and I do a lot of work. But there's never been a time that I put that same kind of energy that I give in my personal development and my career growth and, all of that. I have not put that same kind of energy into my love life. And like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I think that there's just,
Just a second. I'm muting people.
mm-hmm.
So, okay.
So yeah, so there's just that some of that is just blocks that I've had, and a lot of that has just been limited. I guess I've done a lot of work on me, so some of it I already see, but to take it from the intellectual space to the embodying space, right, into the
Yes.
soul space, and just actually being it is a different story. And
Okay.
so I know that there's stuff that's in the way that has had me choose that. Like, I was sexually abused as a child. I've had, lots of work done in that area. And I had stuff with my dad, where my dad was great and he was awesome. However, he also
Sure.
made jokes with me growing up, and, that he didn't realize it was harming me, but he would say things that I interpreted to mean that I wasn't smart enough and I couldn't catch on to the joke. And so through my life, just like fighting against that. And so the work that I've done to heal around that, it's been a lot of work, but I also feel it innately that there's still some other stuff underlying that hasn't been cleared that would have me hold back from fully giving my heart in love.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I'm sorry, I'm saying a lot. But
It's
on
all
top
right.
of
You have a
that,
lot to say. You have a lot to say. You can go ahead and put it all out there, and then we'll,
we'll go from there.
figure
Okay.
out which piece wants our
Yeah.
attention.
The last part in that is just the example that I did see in my home. And so in my home, my my father and my mother didn't, there wasn't that kind of love, not the love that I imagined to desire, right, that I would want. And I've always said, my father is awesome. I would choose him any day as a father, but I would never choose him as a husband. And so for years, I know I've been running from, they say like you're either running towards your father or you're running from him. So I've been running from him for sure. But in many ways, I landed with him in my face, right? So in ways that it showed up with my partner now, and with all my partners really, is someone who wasn't willing to give all of themselves. And so, of course, that would make me comfortable. Like, yeah, because I'm not willing to give all of myself. That's the example that I've been given. So there it is. That's
it
all of
all
it.
makes sense, is what you're saying. Is that you make sense, right? This whole you saw a pattern when you were growing up, and you had direct feedback, direct input from your dad or whatever your life, your situation, and you created a model, a mental model, and now you're watching like, oh, look, I have, without, if there's a strong new creation, that's the model that you find yourself in. That just makes sense, right? I think, is that, how is that when I say that? That's like a super succinct summary of what,
Yeah.
how is that for you when I say that back to you?
Yeah. Yep. That sums it up.
Yeah. I'm curious, see how this lands. You mentioned a little while ago I felt this incredible energy that you talked about the kind of energy you put into your career and all of that. I wonder what do you see as possible if you put that type of energy, if you were that person related and just drop that into your relationship? Not to say you're going to do it, just I'm curious what that might look like.
You're asking me to tell you what I would do?
What it would look like, yeah. Yeah. Like just a thought experiment of what it would be like. What do you think that you could create? What would be possible if you put that same type of energy? You didn't really describe what it was, but I could tell there was a lot of energy there. If you put that same type of energy, that same perspective, that type of thoughts, feelings, and actions in the realm of your relationship.
Yeah, that would look like finding unique or like similar interests, activities that we would be involved in doing more of together. That would look like traveling together. That would look like going down a spiritual path together. Going down a spiritual path together. And exploring different mechanisms of couple connection.
Mm-hmm.
It's a, like discovery in it. Like I do a lot of work on my own in discovering, right? And I love that lane, but it's not something we do together so much. So I would love to create that, like discovery, and that can look in all sorts of ways, right? It's like if there's a retreat or a workshop or just something we go walk in nature together or create, just creation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then whatever, like those things interest me, but I don't know. There's some of it that I know interests him, and we do vibe together a lot like that. But I guess I'm trying to stay away from like it's not about him. It's not really about him. I'm really looking to see how, because you really asked me about me and what would I have, how it would look, right? And then so for me, it's not about like it could be if I was with a different partner. It's who I am being. So that would have me keep choosing. I'm doing solo activities, or I'm just over here working on me, and whenever we get to you, we get to you. So, um, so, um, so I just want to create in union, I guess. And so I guess it would be for me to make sure I'm putting forth that same kind of effort, and I'm setting aside time and moving towards that. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, there's So as you started unpacking what that would be, what stands out to you and what you've said or how you've shared?
Mm, really, what stands out, I guess, is just like it's that is a space that's not um, that feels so fuzzy. It's almost like if you ask me about business, you ask me about family, like I can speak so clearly and so like, yep, absolutely, right. But this is what stood out for me is the fogginess in it, the um, and it feels now like more like a choice to be detached from it. That's what it feels like I'm choosing the like you it like I think there is a gap between what I've said that I wanted in a relationship and me actually knowing what that is versus what maybe I have seen portrayed. That makes sense. Like whatever models I may have seen, and I'm not talking about my parents, I just mean in life, like whatever I see in other couples or whatever is portrayed in society as like what's great about a relationship. Then when I look at like, okay, well, what I desire, I have some of that, right? And so, but then what else would be missing? And I've been functioning so much with like, this is good that I think it's really in the way of my extraordinary, what it could be. So I don't even know what to ask for.
Okay.
So it feels like I'm stumbling all over the place, right? And yeah.
And like you said, it feels, we've pointed your focus in something that it feels fuzzy, right? It has that like, what's going on in here? And another thing you really said is that it's what stands out to you is there's a choice here. You're seeing this more in the realm of choice. Like, where are you putting what I heard you say is where you're putting your attention. You're seeing more choice in that, about where you creating, where you putting time, where you're putting effort really is a matter of choice. And then you also shared about this gap between like wondering, kind of exploring like, wow, maybe you don't even know what's possible that you even want. Maybe that's part
Right.
of the fuzziness,
Yeah, that's that is exactly what, yeah.
Okay. So which of those things that I just laid out, which of those or something else feels like it has the most energy, that most has the most possibility in there to explore, to shift, or wants your attention?
I would say I could connect to what I truly desire.
Yeah. So to create what you truly desire.
And really, to me, the first step would, yes, if I'm going to create it, I would need to know what this set look like. I don't even know. Well, you know what I'm saying? If I'm saying there's a gap in what I desire, and even understanding that.
Yeah. Let's imagine that there's a part of you that does know.
Yeah.
And if we were to very gently look to that part of you that does know, what does that part of you know?
Um, love on a spiritual level,
Mhm.
connecting soul to soul.
Sounded like there was a bit of, maybe I didn't hear this, but sound like maybe there was a bit of a question mark in there or not. What is that?
I would say that's me looking at it for real. Like that wasn't a question. It was more so, even though I know I said it like a question, just more so I'm actually exploring this, and I don't know if I've been honest with myself around that before.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of, and I don't want to say I haven't been honest with it.
Let's be
I'd say
honest.
some, hmm
What do you,
go ahead.
how do you feel about being honest now?
Yeah, I feel fine being honest. It's just what, it's just me asking myself, am I being honest? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm looking to kind of step outside of myself and ask
Yeah.
and really ask and not give what my mind may have convinced myself of all the time before
Yeah.
and then give that answer. Right? 'Cause then,
Yes.
so
I
it's really like I'm like going back and forth questioning myself like, is that the honest answer? Is that really true for you? Is that really it or not? So,
so there's
um,
something, so everything, and that makes sense. Like everything we're doing now is an exploration, it's curious, it's gentle, it's trying things that it's trying things on and see if they fit. So you're right. It completely makes sense that there's that, like, a little bit of like a tentativeness or like, okay, something about there's something in there that's about love existing on a spiritual level, that's some part of you knows about, that's important to you.
yeah.
I'm wondering what would help you feel into that or connect with that a little bit more to see if there's more that wants to be said there.
Mm-hmm. Um, I don't know. I guess it's just me continuing to answer the question you just asked me. hmm And so, yeah, spiritual connection, connecting soul to soul, heart to heart, completely vulnerable, um, and the willingness to grow, like grow together. Um, and I think that vulnerable part is like really allowing someone to truly see into me completely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then not only allowing it, but then being okay on the other side of it. So like, okay, so you see all of me,
Yeah.
then not then questioning it or feeling some kind of way because now you see it, or needing to modify anything about who I am.
So, what do you need to believe about yourself or about love in order to kind of hold that whole space, to be able to be vulnerable, to be seen, and to be
hmm
comfortable with that through the whole?
Yeah, that I am whole and complete as I am. That there is um, that there's nothing wrong and that I'm more than enough. And then the belief about love is that it is also whole and complete, and that there's nothing I can't mess it up, and that it has me regardless of what I share and who I am. Like it's like there's nothing to fear. Can't love always tackles fear. So yeah, be to believe that it is like there's abundance in it. And that like even with hurt or pain or whatever, all of it is divine. Like it's not out of order, even if I do like step towards it fully and wholly. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned divine at the end there. I was wondering, what is it like to connect that belief about yourself and about love with the spiritual?
Well, I think it would be to have a knowing that it is that none of it's separate from the other. Like that I could as easily replace me with love or with source, and it will all be one. Like it's nothing separate. And so, yeah. And I guess just keep leaning on that, like knowing, like, um, in my highest connection to spirit, I am guided. I am love, and there is no separation in it. You know.
Yeah. How does it feel to be exploring into that?
Beautiful. Yeah. It feels awesome to connect to that and to know that. I think the more that I practice it, and even times when I've seen myself practice it in on like maybe other topics, right, and practice that, then um, is the only way that I end up moving towards it more and more and more. When I pull out of that connection, then or those practices. So practices meaning like, what am I listening to? Am I, listening to spiritually grounded stuff? Am I meditating? Am I, you know, um, am I doing my deep breath work? Am I, like whatever what am I reading? Whatever I'm bringing in as my tools and supporting me. When I stay connected to it, then I can reach this place higher. But when I start moving away from that, that's where the separation starts to happen. And so that those beliefs that, I'm not enough and oh gosh, what do I need to change? Or I can't make this happen, or there's just not enough time. Like then I start bringing myself back to the physical world, I guess. And then it starts to be about that, which then keeps me further away from it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It sounds like you're laying out something that's very at one level so deep and powerful and spiritual, and then you're connecting that to such a practical thing. You're saying this is literally practice. This is in your experience. This is about the practice. What are you taking in? What are you consuming? What are you listening to? What is your practice with meditation? What is your practice with your breath? What are you reading? That's just, it's you practicing aligned with those beliefs creates your world inside of those beliefs. And falling out of that practice or not being in that practice gets you, you didn't say exactly, but not that, right? Gets you, I guess you said, focused on the external in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So as I say that back to you, is there any more you'd like to say about that, or anything else that comes up for you about that?
I, it's so funny. It's like I just think that the answer is always in me. It is always in us. Like we already know. Like you just challenged me to like, what if I did know? What would that be? Like, because it knows. Like my inner self is source, and so it does know. Um, and so this just brings me to, I guess, a grounding space to look at it again and to now choose the practices again.
Yeah.
And so, and to not, I don't want to say choose them again because, hey, I meditated this morning and I am doing practices, but I'm simply not attaching them to my complete self. It's more like I'm separate still in how I'm practicing. And so then I wouldn't connect it to my relationship. It's sort of like I'm just doing my practice, if that makes sense. And so
Yeah,
this
totally.
helps to see how, as much as I may have thought that I was inclusive, I'm still being exclusive.
Right. You're distinguishing, you've been like doing your practice, but not being your practice,
Being,
right? To put it in the language of being, right? You're
yeah,
like doing it,
mm,
but as separate. And what
right.
you're, and now you're taking on what would it be like to be your practice.
Mm. Yep.
So what would you like to choose now?
Mm. Well, I think a way of like being in it would be to be in union. Be in union, not think of it like it's over there and it's something to attain, but really be in union. So if I can do a meditation practice by myself, I could also include my partner in being that with me and experiencing that practice with me. Or if I'm doing yoga, I could also have him do yoga with me. And then outside of that, it would also be when we are engaging in whatever activities, because it's really not about the activity, but being in those activities in the frame of being in union, not like separate, not like, okay, like really be in it. And so an example of that would be like maybe shutting off my phone and be completely present, you know.
Yeah. It seems like it's very
Um,
natural for you to connect it. Once you are choosing being in that practice, then the actions that are aligned with that line up, right? That, but what you're distinguishing, that it's not about the actions. If you just focus on the actions, you could do all those things and miss the being in union, being connected, being in love, or being in whatever, however you're thinking of it. But you're really holding that up of what does this really look like? What else?
Can you say that again?
I'm saying back what I'm hearing you say, which is you presenced the idea of being your practice and being in union, like already being connected with your partner, already being in. This is what I think I heard you say, that you can do that on your own, because it's about how you're accepting that it's already true. And then you started sharing, like, if I'm accepting that's already true, then those weren't exactly your words, but if I'm being in union, then the way you spend time with your partner would shift. And you gave some examples of that.
Right. Yeah.
It seems like the important thing you're saying, because early on you made a list of all the things you could do with your partner. And what I'm noticing is you're coming back around to some of those actions with a different lens on them. So that's what I'm hearing. How does that, when I say that back to you, what's resonating with you?
Yeah, just a being, it could be any old kind of action. It could be, I could list 100 different things, but it's more about who I'm being in the process.
Yeah.
Of it.
What might get in the way of you being in this practice?
I would say what's coming up for me right now is history. So it's been a pull often on things in my life. If I say I'm going to move forward, but then there's this history that says, nope, you didn't do it last time. Nope, you tried that. Nope, you weren't consistent before. And so I think that could get it.
I think that will. It sounds like it's not like, that just might show up, right? Of course it's going to show up, because what you said before is this is a matter of practice. So because in the absence of practice, that's what shows up. That's what I heard you say before. So let's say that happens, right? That voice comes up and says, well, whatever it says to you, what in the wisdom that you can access now, how would you like to set up for yourself to handle that?
Well, I think some of the tactics is like staying in the present moment, but I often tend to glean to the past. Like I actually really love the past, love history, love listening to old music. And so one of the practices that I started doing in my solo world, I can apply those same practices, which is like, nope, don't listen to the old music, listen to something new, learn something new, and keep putting myself in the presence of things that are currently happening. And so in those thoughts, and maybe something I could do is maybe record myself and play it back, in those moments of just something that has to do with what I'm creating versus anything from the past, like who I am, with affirmations and things like that. That might be something I could do. And maybe it's involving him as well in the current space, so that it's not like I'm working this out on my own, just like really include
Mm-hmm.
in this process with me, because it's not like we haven't talked about some of this stuff. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
um,
What would be significant about that?
well, because it would really be in alignment with what I'm talking about, which is creating union versus creating a solo world where there's a man in it when I choose him to be in it. And it really would just challenge me to not be uncomfortable and like, like telling myself and it was in alignment with that vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
So allowing him to see me, even when it's not pretty.
Mm-hmm. How interested are you in doing that?
Yeah, I'm like a very interested. 10 out of 10.
10 out of
Very
10.
interested.
And how committed are you to doing it?
10 out of 10.
Beautiful. Is there
Yeah,
any
I think the timing is um, when this is coming up with what's happening in my life right now is like it's perfect. So it almost feels like it really feels like now or never. Like, well, what else is there? So, and I feel like the stakes are just high because it really could go the opposite direction.
Mhm. So there's something perfect about this moment.
Hmm. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to explore around this that would help it feel more complete with you, or is there any other part of this that you're called to explore?
Mm. Um, Not exactly. I guess I kind of feel like at this state of being, it either is or it won't. And what I mean by that is like I'm just you ever just get tired of hearing yourself?
That's why I asked you.
So
That's why I asked you a yes or no question, because
yeah,
maybe you're done.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. It's like yeah, it's like I can look at it all day and we can like keep going, but at the end of it, like been it's already exposed, it's already there, and so either I'm going to take it from the intellectual space and drop it down to my heart and be it, or I'm going to drop it back into doing. And my commitment is to be in the being. And um, so, yeah. So, thank you.
Great. Would you like to explore the it looks like Melissa has created something for you this whole time. Can you see that?
Yeah, it's
Your
beautiful.
camera on. Yeah.
Hmm.
So would you like to share anything about what you're seeing in that, or what it was like for you to um, have her doing that while we were having this conversation?
Hmm. Yeah, it was like uh, really awesome to see it in the process of it versus like being an end project.
Mhm.
So thank you for that. And then to just uh, like seeing my life right here in art. Um,
Melissa, do you want to could you hold it up a little closer to the camera so that we can all see it? Yeah.
I love the right side, which is the 1/4. Um, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and like this just really helps me to see that there's nothing, like there's nothing blocking anything. This is all like, so it's really freeing actually to see it, like hearing my or seeing my conversation that may go through my head, but nothing is. So the part at the bottom where I said I can't mess it up, I love the big heart on the side. Like, yes. So, yeah.
I think that was the first thing she drew.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it was.
I'd love to hear from you, Melissa, as well, if you'd like to share about what this is like for you. We'll put you in the spotlight.
Oh, sure. Well, it's interesting. I didn't know going into it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know going into it what I was going to do. The last time I did this with you a year ago, it was mostly abstract
Mm-hmm.
doodling, and this time it was more sort of. I started with abstract doodling, and then I did more kind of graphic recording.
Can you tip your camera just a little bit, because we see you up to your like nose?
Yeah, that's because I I raised my table up, and my iPad is was sitting on the table, so everything raised up. I raised the table up to move the artwork higher.
It's
So,
perfect. No.
yeah. So it's interesting because I have such loud gremlins that my gremlins were no matter what I did, my gremlins were going to be really mad at me. They were mad at me that I was doing more sort of graphic recording kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying, you should be doing more, more art, more abstract art rather than graphic recording. And the graphic recording isn't good enough. And if I had done abstract art, they would have been saying, you should be doing more graphic recording, and the abstract art isn't good enough. So whatever I do, my gremlins always get mad at me. But thankfully, I know how to deal with gremlins. I just thank them for their concern, and I send them off to get pedicures, and I just keep going. So I tend to, because I don't, my strength is not as much in the drawing part of it as in the color, and I feel more comfortable writing words than I do with actually drawing, turning the words into graphic representation. That's something that I'm still working on doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's my leading edge, shall we say. So my gremlins were going nuts at me for that. But I had a lot of fun. Oh, I'm getting an echo. I had a lot of fun adding the watercolor to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept sending the gremlins off and just saying to them, I got this covered. I'm just going to keep going and having fun with it, no matter what you say. And reminding myself that it's not about what I think about it anyway. This is a tool. This is in service of this coaching session. And so as long as it's being useful for the coaching session, it doesn't matter what I think about it.
Yeah.
And we just heard that it was useful in the coaching session. So yay.
So yay. Yeah, this really, thank you for sharing that. I'm sure people get something out of just listening to what that's your practice, right? It's this practice of recommitting and recommitting and recommitting to why are you here? And you're here right now in service of this conversation, this coaching session. And for me too, right? This is all being created in service of people who are listening who will never know who they are. Some of them we won't, but that's the idea, right? This is in service of the beautiful message, beautiful experience for people.
And I think it's really important for people to hear that often they see people who are creating things and they think, oh, it must be easy for them. They must not have any doubts. They must not hear any of those critical voices inside their heads. But in fact, I venture to say that probably everyone has those self-critical voices, and mine are extremely loud, and I just keep going anyway. I think it's important for people to hear that.
All right. Hopefully everybody heard that. There will be a recording because I can see that the recording light is on, so I'm very happy with that. Yay. Any final words that you want to say, Keisha, or Melissa? I'll give you a chance to. Any final words before I'll turn off the Facebook video, and then so any final words for people who might be listening?
I did want to ask Melissa what in the bottom left side where it says connecting soul to soul, what that picture is. I couldn't make it out.
Yeah, those are, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, those are the two souls, and they're connecting.
Okay. Got it. I kind of figured that. I just figured I would ask. Okay. Okay. So thank you. And then, I'd say, this is a really great experience to connect soul to soul with with the two of you and your community in a very different way of being able to have something come to light from what would otherwise be the unseen. Yeah, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, that's beautifully exactly the intention, to make the unseen seen. So to make what was going on for you seen, to make the art process seen, to have us be seen being imperfect and with all the voices in our heads. So thank you. Anything else you want to say, Melissa?
Just thank you for the opportunity to participate in this. It's really a profound experience, and I feel really grateful to be a part of it. Thank you.
Yes. And for anyone who's watching, we're going to keep doing this, and Melissa's going to come back. And I'm always I'm still filling up the schedule of people who want to be coached like this. And as you can see, you can be as anonymous as you'd like to be. And it's a beautiful service for everyone, for people to show up onto these calls with something that is important to them, that they want to have a shift in. So I invite you to be in touch with me if that's of interest to you. And also if you would like to be an artist. I'm experimenting with having fun with different artists. It's such a gift. So thank you, everybody.